The story begins with Linda Little arriving at Preston Corporation, where she works in strategy and planning. She hands over a report she spent weeks preparing to her coworker Donovan, who tells her she isn't needed in the upcoming board meeting. He assures her he will present the findings and make sure everyone knows the work is hers. But from outside the conference room, Linda watches as Donovan removes her name from the report and takes full credit for it. This moment reinforces Linda's position in the office. She is competent but invisible. She struggles to connect with her coworkers, often coming across as awkward in her attempts to be friendly. The others keep their distance, excluding her from social outings and workplace bonding. Outside of work, her isolation continues. Linda has no close friends or family, and her only companion is a pet parrot she talks to at home. Despite this loneliness, Linda remains relentlessly positive, convinced that hard work and perseverance will eventually earn her the recognition she deserves. Linda is expecting a long-promised promotion to vice president, one she had been assured of by the company's late founder. Now that his son Bradley is stepping in to take over, she believes the promise will finally be fulfilled. When Bradley arrives to meet the staff, Linda eagerly steps forward to introduce herself. Unfortunately, she has just taken a large bite of a tuna sandwich and still has food on her face. As she enthusiastically greets him and offers her full support in helping the company succeed, some of the tuna residue accidentally falls onto him. Bradley is repulsed, quickly excuses himself, and retreats to his office. There, his senior executive informs him that Linda had been promised the VP position. However, Bradley has already given the promotion to Donovan, who is an old fraternity buddy. Beyond that, Linda's awkward demeanor has left a negative impression on him. The executive warns that Linda is essential, especially with a major Bangkok meeting coming up. Without her, things could fall apart. Bradley agrees she's useful, but instead of promoting her, he decides to keep her working behind the scenes to get Donovan up to speed and later move her somewhere she won't be seen. Linda learns from a coworker that she's been passed over for the promotion and that Donovan is the one getting it. She storms into Bradley's office while he's in the middle of an interview and demands to know why she didn't get the VP role she was promised. Bradley tells her that while she's excellent at her job, she isn't ready for a leadership position. She isn't good with people, and what he needs is someone who can close deals, and most importantly, someone who golfs. In the middle of this already uncomfortable conversation, he casually points out that she has something stuck in her teeth, which only makes the moment more humiliating. Still, he admits that it took guts for her to come in and confront him. Because of that, he offers her a chance. If she manages to solve the issue with Appendix D for the Bangkok deal, he might reconsider the VP position. Just then, his fiancée enters the room. She's polished and confident, everything Linda isn't, and Linda becomes flustered, stumbling over her words before awkwardly excusing herself. As she's about to leave, Bradley stops her to mention that he's received complaints from coworkers about the strong fish smell coming from her lunch. He tells her she should eat somewhere else. Completely humiliated, Linda leaves the office, barely holding back tears. Linda pulls herself together and later joins Bradley, Donovan, and several others on the flight to Bangkok. She's excited about the trip and has managed to solve the problem with Appendix D. When she tries to tell Bradley, he dismisses it, and Donovan comments that she works too much. While Linda is writing up Appendix D during the flight, Donovan shows the others an old audition tape she made for Survivor, where she demonstrates her impressive survival skills. They laugh at it, assuming she's listening to music and can't hear them. Linda hears them mocking her, feels humiliated, and deletes the report. Shortly after, the plane encounters severe turbulence. Linda and Bradley remain strapped into their seats while others are thrown around the cabin. The plane suddenly depressurizes, blowing a hole in the side of the cabin. Donovan and another co-worker struggle to hold on. Donovan demands Linda give up her seat and tries to force her out of it. In response, Linda stabs his hand with a fork, causing him to lose his grip. Donovan is sucked out of the plane, but his tie snags and he is dragged behind the plane until it hits the water. Linda frees herself and escapes, managing to grab onto a raft after the crash. The next morning, Linda wakes up on a beach on an island in the Gulf of Thailand. After walking for some time, she finds Bradley unconscious with an injured leg and moves him to a safer spot. She makes a knife from sharp rock, cuts leaves, and builds a small shelter. She also creates cups from coconut shells and places them in the sand to collect rainwater. That night, a heavy storm hits. Linda stays under the shelter with Bradley, who remains unconscious. The following day, she finds that the coconut shells have collected water, and she gets super excited. Bradley wakes up, and she gives him water to drink. He is upset when he learns that Donovan died and that there are no other survivors, but he thanks Linda for saving him. Linda manages to make fire, catch fish, and cook it over the flames. She is in her element. She tries to feed Bradley, but he refuses to eat. Eventually, she feeds him herself, pushing the food into his mouth like she would with a child. The next day, she finds a conch shell and excitedly shows it to Bradley, who is irritated. He becomes upset that Linda is not actively trying to signal for help. He insists that being rescued should be their main priority. Linda responds that she has been focused on more immediate needs like shelter, water, and food. He attempts to stand, but cannot because of his injured leg. Linda tells him the leg is not broken and offers to help him up. He snaps at her not to touch him and reminds her that he is still her boss. She becomes quiet, gathers her belongings, and leaves him there. She builds another shelter for herself. Bradley assumes she will return soon, but instead he remains alone for 2 days, unable to move, exposed to the sun, and without water. When he is close to collapse, Linda returns and gives him water. She tells him that they are no longer in the office. He has no choice but to accept it. Linda later tells Bradley she has found tracks from a wild boar. Since they need more food, she makes a spear and decides to hunt it. Bradley is skeptical and doesn't believe it will work, but Linda goes into the forest anyway. She tracks the animal until it suddenly charges at her. The boar chases her through the trees, but she manages to jump down onto it from above and stab it with the spear. The first strike isn't enough to kill it. When it charges again, she stabs it a second time. Even then, it doesn't die, and she eventually has to stab it in the eye to finish it. Linda later brings the boar's severed head back to camp and drops it beside Bradley, covering him in blood. He is shocked. She calmly tells him she might actually enjoy hunting. Later that night, they eat the meat. It's the first substantial food they've had in a while, and both seem relieved and happy. The next day, while exploring, Linda discovers a waterfall. She uses it to wash herself, drink, and spends time looking at the water and her reflection. While she's there, she notices a boat nearby. At first, she calls out for help, but then stops. After thinking it over, she decides not to reveal herself. Instead, she leaves quietly and returns to camp without telling Bradley what she saw. Linda tells him she has found a new water source and shows him a bag she has made herself. Bradley isn't impressed. He is angry that they've been on the island for 2 weeks and still haven't been found. Linda tells him she doesn't know why, but believes rescue will come. She says that staying positive is the most important thing for survival. That frustrates him even more. He tells her to stop pretending everything is fine and insists they should build a raft. Linda disagrees and says they should continue doing what they're already doing until help arrives. She adds that their situation isn't that bad. They have food, water, and each other. Bradley tells her this is the last place he wants to be at. Linda asks if she hasn't taken good care of him. He responds that his body won't recover from this and tries to leave. Linda warns that his leg isn't strong enough yet, but he snaps at her not to tell him what to do. He reminds her that he's the CEO of a Fortune 500 company and says she's fired. He decides to leave and set up his own camp. Linda laughs at the idea. Bradley attempts to recreate what Linda has built, but he lacks the basic survival skills. His shelter collapses, he struggles to find food or water, and he is unable to take care of himself. Meanwhile, Linda is thriving. She finds fish, makes simple ointments, and adapts her clothes into practical items. Eventually, hungry and desperate, Bradley returns to her camp to ask for forgiveness. Linda has prepared a proper meal and set up a simple dining space. Bradley introduces himself again and tries to reset their relationship. He offers to work together and says he is willing to learn from her. Linda questions what she would gain from that. She eats while he watches, now fully in control of the situation. Bradley admits he was wrong about her, says he underestimated her, and apologizes. Linda doesn't immediately accept. She briefly makes it seem as though she expects something in return, but ultimately tells him she isn't like that and agrees to let him return so they can work together again. Linda suggests they go for a walk since Bradley's leg is improving, and he agrees. She leads him along a narrow path on a cliffside near the water. As they walk, she explains what to watch for in their environment, which berries are poisonous and where dangerous plants grow. She points out a large X-shaped rock in the distance, surrounded by thorn bushes and poisonous vines, and tells him it's an area he should avoid at all costs. On the way back along the ledge, they pause for a moment. A section of rock suddenly breaks beneath Linda's feet, and she slips off the edge, but Bradley manages to grab her hand and pull her back up. Later, back at camp, Linda prepares crispy sweets from green bananas over the fire. She also tells Bradley she has been making an alcoholic drink from fermented fruit for several days. She suggests they drink, and Bradley agrees. That night, Linda gets them both drunk. As they talk around the fire, she admits that she was once married to an abusive man who drank heavily. She tells Bradley that she allowed him to drive drunk, which led to the car accident that killed him. She says she has never told anyone this before, and adds that she doesn't think they should leave the island. The next day, Linda wakes up hungover. While moving around the shore, she accidentally sees Bradley bathing in the water and begins feeling attracted to him. Soon after, a storm hits and destroys their camp. They take shelter in a cave until it passes. Their clothes are wet and they are both freezing, so Bradley suggests they hold each other to stay warm. When Linda wakes up later, Bradley is no longer in the cave. She finds him outside, where he says he wants to help rebuild the camp, this time in a higher location. Linda is pleased to see that he seems more willing to adapt to their situation. Later, after they've settled into the new camp, Bradley says he wants to go for a walk. Linda reminds him to stay away from the poisonous vines on the south side and eventually decides to simply join him. While they rest, Bradley offers to cook dinner so she can take a break, and Linda agrees. That evening, he prepares a meal for her, using the same poisonous berry she had warned him about earlier. After eating, Linda becomes violently ill and collapses. While she is incapacitated, Bradley attempts to escape using a raft he secretly built. However, the raft quickly breaks apart in the waves, and he is thrown back onto the island, unconscious. Despite still being sick, Linda drags herself to him and tries to revive him by performing CPR. As she does, she repeatedly vomits onto him because the poison is still affecting her. After Bradley wakes up, Linda shifts from helping him to reasserting control. She prepares a skewer containing pieces of a blue-ringed octopus she had caught earlier and feeds it to him. The octopus contains a powerful neurotoxin. She explains to Bradley exactly what is happening. The toxin will paralyze his muscles and take away his ability to feel or move, but it is not meant to kill him. He will remain fully aware while his body becomes temporarily unresponsive. As the paralysis sets in, Bradley loses control of his limbs and can no longer move. Linda uses this moment to stage a punishment. She begins cutting into something near his body in a way that makes it seem as though she is about to castrate him. Bradley is conscious, but unable to react or stop her. After letting the fear build, she reveals that she has only been cutting open a dead rat. She then tells him that next time it won't be a rat, and warns him not to mistake her kindness for weakness. After a few days, Linda tells Bradley she's going into the jungle to look for some fruit to cheer him up, since he's been distant and barely speaking to her. While she's out, she spots a boat approaching the island. When it reaches shore, she is shocked to see Bradley's fiancée, along with a boat captain. The fiancée rushes toward her and asks if Bradley is alive. Linda confirms that he is and says he's still on the island. As they begin heading toward him, Linda asks whether anyone else came on the rescue mission. The fiancé and the captain tell her it's just the two of them. Faced with the reality of being rescued and returning to her old life, Linda leads them toward the cliffside, claiming it's a shortcut. At one point, she lags behind, pretending to stop and tie her shoelace. As they move ahead, the fiancé steps onto the same unstable section of rock where Linda once slipped. The ground gives way beneath her. The captain tries to pull her up and calls for Linda to help. Linda hesitates. Instead of helping, she picks up a large rock and strikes the captain. He and the fiancé fall to their deaths. Linda returns to Bradley afterward, visibly withdrawn. When he suggests they go hunting, she refuses and says she needs a sick day. Later, she experiences a hallucination of Bradley's fiancée crawling onto the beach and calling her a murderer. Bradley later goes out on his own to hunt a boar. While searching near the shoreline, he notices an arm sticking out of the sand. He recognizes it immediately by the large diamond engagement ring on the hand. It's his fiancée's. He screams and runs back to camp, confronting Linda with the ring and demanding to know what happened. Under pressure, Linda admits that his fiancée is dead, but insists it was an accident. She claims his fiancée slipped while she was trying to lead her to Bradley. Bradley doesn't believe her. As Linda reaches for her knife, she realizes it's gone. Bradley already has it, so she runs. He chases her into the jungle, and the two fight. The struggle is violent. Linda is partially scalped, and Bradley almost gouges her eye out. Linda bites him hard and tears flesh from his body. During the chaos, Linda swallows the engagement ring. When Bradley charges at her again, he is stabbed in the side with a knife. Injured, he escapes deeper into the jungle. Eventually, he comes across a mansion hidden near the cliffside, the same place Linda had warned him never to approach because of the poisonous vines surrounding it. He makes his way inside. Through the building's speaker system, he hears Linda's voice. He searches for a weapon, but she tells him she has already gotten rid of the knives. Linda explains that the mansion belongs to a wealthy Wall Street billionaire. She had discovered it earlier and disabled the security system without anyone noticing. She then confesses that they could have been rescued long ago, but she wasn't ready to leave. When she first saw the boat from the waterfall, she also discovered the property and learned the security code from the caretakers. She broke in, collected supplies like food and water, and kept this hidden from Bradley so she could maintain control over their situation. Linda eventually appears inside the mansion holding a shotgun. Bradley tries to talk her out of shooting him. He tells her that he loves her and that she was right about everything. He says they can stay on the island together and make it work. Linda tells him she loves him too and says he didn't have to make things this difficult. But as she looks around the room, she notices that one of the horns from a nearby statue is missing. She realizes Bradley has been hiding it behind his back. Bradley lunges at her and manages to grab the shotgun, only to realize it isn't loaded. Before he can react, Linda pulls a golf club from the wall and knocks him to the ground. She then beats him to death with it. A year later, Linda has become a public figure after being rescued. She presents herself as the sole survivor of the crash and has taken control over Preston. She has also written a memoir based on her experience, offering survival advice centered around the idea that no one is coming to help and that people must save themselves. In the final scene, Linda drives away with her pet parrot, singing one way or another, before giving the camera a sinister look. The end. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And until next time.